You ever feel it? That twitch in your spine, the itch behind your eyes like the earth's thicker today. That's not your imagination. No, something's off, but just enough that no one says it out loud. June 5th. They'll call it just another Wednesday or Thursday or whatever number the calendar spits out, but not you. You feel it, this day is wired different. Like someone upstairs slammed their fist on a cosmic panic button and whispered, "Move fist." Now, divine timing. The great cosmic joke no one's laughing at until it's too late. You see, people love to plan, to structure, to wrap their lives in calendars and bullet points like wrapping paper on a gate they think they chose. They believe in perfect timing, as if the universe will politely knock when they feel ready. They say, "I'll start next week, I'll decide after I've thought about it, I'm just waiting for a sign." But when the sign comes, when the door creaks open and light floods in like an alarm that doesn't shut off, they blink, hesitate, check their watch and say, "Now." Really? Yes, really, because divine timing doesn't ask, it interrupts. People think divine timing feels peaceful, like angel choirs humming in the background while everything aligns and you feel all warm and sure inside. No, real divine timing is messy, it's uncomfortable. It's that punch in the gut kind of clarity that doesn't knock, it kicks the door down and stares at you until you do something about it. And if you wait too long, it leaves. And it doesn't leave a note, just silence and regret. You ever notice how the big moments in life don't feel big when they first show up? They feel awkward, sudden, inconvenient. That call you weren't expecting, that urge to move cities, that relationship that crashes into your routine like a fire alarm during a nap. That's the thing they never arrive wrapped in. Explanation. Because divine timing doesn't come to please you. It comes to push you off the ledge, into the thing you said you wanted but weren't brave enough to chase. And still they hesitate. They tell themselves it's not the right moment. "I'm not ready," they say, like readiness is a destination and not a decision. The universe isn't interested in your 5-year plan. It doesn't care about your checklist. Divine timing doesn't fit in your schedule, it burns it. It shows up when it's meant to, not when it's convenient. And if you're waiting for it to feel safe, you'll wait forever. Because divine timing doesn't wait for your comfort. Comfort is the cage. Comfort is where dreams go to sleep. Comfort is the excuse that keeps you chained to the life you've outgrown. And oh, how tightly people grip the bars of their own prison, mistaking predictability for peace. But divine timing, it breaks the lock. It shatters the illusion. It whispers in your ear, "You're wasting time." But it doesn't scream. That would be too easy. It whispers and waits, just long enough to see if you'll listen. You see, everyone prays for signs, but no one's ready when the signs say it. They want miracles, but only if they're convenient. They ask for change, but only if it feels familiar. That's the paradox. They beg for divine intervention, but they won't let go of the wheel. They want to be guided, but only where they were already headed. And so they miss it. Again. And again. And again. But divine timing, it doesn't beg. It doesn't return with flowers. It's not your ex trying to win you back. It's the wind that doesn't knock. It's the tide that doesn't ask. It's the fire that doesn't apologize. And it's always right on time. Just never your time. And that's the point. Because if it arrived on your terms, you'd take credit for it. You'd say it was your planning, your hustle, your logic that made it happen. But when it shows up in the middle of your chaos, uninvited, undeniable, that's when you know. That's when your soul jolts awake and says, "This is it." And what do most people do? They hit snooze. Again. And isn't that the joke? That the very thing they've been asking for finally arrives and they run from it because it doesn't come dressed in predictability. They don't realize that divine timing doesn't feel holy, it feels heavy. It comes with pressure, urgency, weight. Like something needs to shift or everything around it starts to decay. That's not panic. That's purpose. That's not fear. That's your intuition finally yelling louder than your excuses, but still they flinch. They want confirmation, guarantees, a map with labeled exits. There's no map, just momentum. Just a moment that shows up and dares you to ruin your plans. Divine timing doesn't ask if you're ready. It arrives like thunder in a room full of whisperers. And if you don't move when it does, you'll miss a train and the tracks. And maybe, just maybe, the version of you that was waiting on the other side. Funny, isn't it? How people love to talk about faith until it asks them to move without a roadmap. They say they believe in something bigger, in signs and divine plans and purpose, but the moment it knocks urgently, loudly, with no explanation, they freeze like statues in their little routines. You ever watch someone stall on the edge of transformation? It's a tragic comedy. They're standing there, one foot in the fire and the other stuck in their comfort zone, blinking like deer in headlights. Delay, my friend, is the prettiest little lie you'll ever tell yourself. You'll ever tell you in logic, wrap it in the excuse of thinking things through, but really it's fear in disguise. It's fear holding the leash, and you calling it wisdom. The truth. When the call is clear, when the message hits your gut like lightning, when everything in your soul starts to shake and scream go, and they don't. That's not just delay, that's disobedience, that's betrayal of the voice you claim to trust. It's spitting in the face of the thing you begged for. Because make no mistake, what you don't act on, you reject. What you wait too long to honor, you lose. And most people, they lose the moment, not because they weren't chosen, but because they didn't choose it back fast enough. See, urgency has a rhythm. It doesn't linger. It doesn't hold your hand. It comes in hot and fast, and if you're not quick on your feet, it slips through the cracks. But people, oh, they love to dance with delay. Let me sleep on it, they say. Let me just get through this week. As if the universe is going to reschedule destiny for their convenience. As if God's timing is a pizza delivery they can postpone with a polite phone call. Meanwhile, the opportunity, the open door, the miracle, it doesn't wait. It moves on. To the next person with less doubt and more fire. You ever wonder why some people seem to get all the breakthroughs, the lucky breaks, the sudden shifts? It's not because they're special. It's because they act fast. They feel the nudge and they leap. No questions, no overthinking, no committee meetings in their mind. Just motion. Just response. That's the difference between someone who talks about change and someone who actually changes. Urgency doesn't need your analysis, it needs your action. But oh, how we love to worship the delay. We romanticize it. I'm just waiting for the right moment. As if the right moment is a neon sign with a marching band. No. The right moment feels wrong. It feels risky, scary, vulnerable. That's how you know it's real. Divine instructions rarely come wrapped in comfort. They come wrapped in chaos. Wrapped in a gut feeling you can't shake. Wrapped in a whisper that feels louder than logic. But logic, oh, that sweet little saboteur, it always steps in like an uninvited guest at the worst possible time. It tells you to wait, to plan, to stall. And that stall, that's how miracles die. Now picture this, your future's banging on the door, screaming for entry, while you sit there thinking, is this the right time? You already know the answer. You knew it before you asked. That's the thing about urgency. It doesn't need to be explained. It just needs to be obeyed. But you can't obey something you keep questioning. That's the sickness. Overthinking. Second guessing the very thing you prayed for. You want the door to open, but when it does, you just stare at it. Like it's a trap. Like you're waiting for a second invitation, a confirmation, a guarantee. Guess what? There's no guarantee. Just a moment. Just that pulse of knowing in your chest that says this is it. But most people don't trust that feeling. They've been taught to trust fear more than faith. They've been conditioned to treat urgency like anxiety when really it's instruction. Urgency doesn't always come with clarity, it comes with energy. It comes with momentum. And if you don't catch it, you don't get it. It moves on. It always moves on. And then they blame the universe, blame God, blame life, say it wasn't meant to be. But that's not true. It was meant to be. You just didn't move, you delayed, you disobeyed. And now all that's left is the echo of what could have been. The worst kind of ghost. Not the one that haunts your house, but the one that haunts your heart. The missed moment. The silence where urgency used to be. And the bitter taste of knowing you had one shot and you blinked. You hesitated, you delayed. Oh, they never see it coming, do they? They're too busy chasing likes, busy fixing their hair, busy rehearsing what they'll say next time just to impress people who wouldn't notice if they vanished tomorrow. And while they're out there clapping for everybody else's circus, they miss the fire growing under their own feet. Because here's the truth they can't swallow. When something is supposed to happen, when that moment starts to crackle in the air, it's not going to beg for your attention. It's not going to tap politely on your shoulder. No, it's going to scream. It's going to grab you by the spine and shake you. And if you ignore it well, then you get to live in the ashes of what almost was. People think big things happen with warning. As if the skies will part and a voice will say, now is the time. But life doesn't work like that. God doesn't send invitations with RSVP cards. No. Sometimes it all shifts in the silence. Sometimes the biggest turning point of your life is hidden behind the smallest whisper. But people are so loud in their own heads they can't hear the whisper. They're drowning in their own noise, their doubts, their excuses, their endless monologue of what-ifs and maybe-laters. So the moment comes and goes, and they never even saw it standing there waiting for them to move. You want to know what really separates the ones who rise from the ones who rot. It's not talent. It's not money. It's not connections or timing or luck. It's awareness. Awareness of the moment. The ability to sense when something is shifting, even if nothing on the outside looks different. They feel the tension in their bones, the electricity in their breath, and they don't waste time asking why. They move, that's it. No grand plan, no backup strategy, just motion. But most people want signs. They want 10 confirmations and a guarantee of success before they even lift a finger. They want the entire staircase revealed before they take the first step. And while they're waiting for the perfect weather, someone else is already running in the rain. That's why they stay stuck. That's why nothing ever really changes for them. They confuse safety with progress. But progress isn't safe. Progress is risky, uncomfortable, messy. It demands something from you. It costs. And if you're not willing to pay in sweat, pain, or a little madness, you don't get the prize. You just get regret. People wait for clarity, but clarity doesn't come before the action, it comes because of it. You don't get to know how it ends before you begin. That's the whole trick. The whole beautiful, brutal trick. You have to leap without knowing what's on the other side. And they hate that. Oh, how they hate that. So they stay in their cage, staring through the bars, calling it responsibility or patience or being realistic. Meanwhile, life is out there roaring and they're sitting in silence, convincing themselves that silence is peace when it's really just fear with a better outfit. You know the worst part? They already know. Deep down, they know when the moment has come. They feel it. Their chest tightens, their thoughts speed up, their soul starts to itch, but they push it away. They scroll. They sleep. They talk themselves out of it, because action means risk, and risk means pain. And pain. Well, they've been told to avoid that at all costs. But the ones who win, they make pain their companion. They dance with it. They bleed and burn and break, but they move. And in that movement, something divine happens. Not because they were special, but because they showed up when the signal called. The truth is, the moment won't come with comfort. It comes with pressure, with chaos, with uncertainty. You have to be able to walk straight into the storm with your eyes wide open and your fists clenched, not knowing if you'll make it, just knowing that you have to try. And that's terrifying, which is exactly why most people won't do it. They'll stand there at the edge of their breakthrough, afraid to fail. So the window closes. The opportunity fades. And all that's left is the dull ache of knowing they missed something they were born for. All because they didn't move when the moment asked them to. They always pretend they don't know. Funny little game they play, as if pretending makes the truth less real. As if they ignore it long enough, the rotten smell in the room will just vanish. But that's not how it works, is it? No, you can lie to yourself, wear the smile, clap for their success, act like you're unbothered, but inside something is twisting. You see them. You see what they do. The little digs, the subtle put-downs, the way they only show up when it's about them. The way they vanish when it's about you. And you just keep letting it slide, don't you? Keep telling yourself they're family. They're old friends. They've been through a lot. You owe them. You understand them. Oh, you're just so understanding, that's the problem. You think compassion means letting people drain you. You think being strong means taking the hit again and again. You think loyalty means sticking around while they tear into you with 1,000 invisible knives and then act surprised when you bleed. You've made yourself a punching bag and called it love. You've made yourself a sacrifice and called it faith. But here's a little secret: they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. People aren't stupid. They just act like they are when they think you're too afraid to leave. And maybe you are. Maybe the idea of being alone still scares you more than the weight of carrying someone who's already decided they won't change. Maybe you've been conditioned to believe that your worth is measured by how much pain you can tolerate. That the more you suffer, the more you'll be loved. That one day, if you're patient enough, kind enough, forgiving enough, they'll wake up and see your value. But that day, it never comes. Because they don't need to change. You're already giving them everything for free. They take your time, your energy, your peace, and then they tell you you're too sensitive when you flinch. They rewrite stories, twist facts, and call it your fault. And you go along with it. You apologize, you second-guess yourself, you tiptoe around their moods like it's some kind of noble dance. You become smaller, quieter, more careful. You shrink to fit their comfort. You abandon yourself just to keep them from walking away, not realizing that the second you made yourself invisible to please them, they already left. They left respect behind, they left care behind. All you're holding on to now is noise. They don't clap when you win. They don't call when you're silent. They show up with empty hands and open mouths, always needing, never giving. And you let them in, again. Why? Because the thought of drawing a line makes you feel guilty. Because somewhere along the way someone taught you that protecting yourself is selfish, that saying no is cruel, that choosing peace over people is a betrayal. But let me ask you something: how loyal do you have to be to someone who's poisoning your spirit? How much of yourself are you supposed to give before you admit they're not giving anything back? You're not a bad person for walking away. You're not cruel for needing space. You're not heartless for realizing that love, real love, doesn't feel like this. It doesn't drain. It doesn't destroy. It doesn't gaslight you into thinking you're the problem every time they don't get their way. You've been cast as the villain in a story they wrote, because the moment you stop bending, the moment you speak up, the moment you reclaim your power, they lose control. And people hate losing control, especially over the ones they thought they broke. So they'll guilt you, they'll cry, they'll rage, they'll suddenly remember all the good times. They'll weaponize memories, twist moments, use your kindness as a leash. Because if you forget how bad it really is, maybe you'll stay. Maybe you'll go back to the role they assigned you, the quiet one, the forgiving one, the one who takes it all and asks for nothing. But not this time. This time something's different. You feel it, don't you? That tiny spark. That voice that says, I'm done. It's not rage. It's not revenge. It's clarity. It's the beginning of something clean, something calm, something yours. Not theirs, yours. They think you're too nice. That's what it is, really. Too nice, too soft, too quiet. You smile when they push you. You laugh when they cut deep. You stay when every part of you is screaming to go. And they eat it up, Like a buffet, they take and take, never full. You keep setting yourself on fire just to keep them warm. And they don't even say thank you. But you've made it your whole personality, caring, overthinking, fixing, playing the peacekeeper while the war rages in your own chest. You lay awake wondering if maybe, just maybe, you were the problem. Maybe if you'd said it differently. Maybe if you hadn't said it at all. Maybe if you smiled more, talked less, apologized quicker. Maybe then they'd love you better, treat you better, see you, but they don't. Because caring too much. It's like blood in the water. They smell it. They know you'll stay no matter what. No matter how little they show up. No matter how often they disappear. No matter how they forget the things that matter to you. You make excuses for them. Oh, they're busy. They're tired. They're going through something. Always something. Always someone. Never you, and you put your own needs on mute like your pain is a background noise in someone else's movie. But tell me, when was the last time someone asked how you were really doing? When was the last time someone stayed just to listen without needing something in return? You care too much, and it's bleeding you dry. It's this sick little cycle you give, they take, and then you blame yourself when they vanish. You replay the conversations, dissect the silence, wonder what went wrong. Here's the punchline: nothing went wrong. You were just convenient. You were easy. You didn't push back. You didn't ask for much. You were there, always there, like a streetlight in a dark alley, constant, glowing. Ignored until they needed direction. And when they didn't, poof, gone. Radio silence. Ghosts with full stomachs. You think if you love them enough, they'll change. If you care hard enough, they'll wake up and realize you were the one. But people don't change because you care. They change because they care. And most of them don't. Not about you. Not really. They like the version of you that's available. The version that doesn't challenge them. The version that never demands. The version that claps when they win, cries in secret when they leave, and still answers the phone when they return like nothing happened. You taught them how to treat you, and they took notes. You think it's strength, don't you? Holding it all together. Being the bigger person. Letting it go. Again. 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 But strength isn't swallowing your pain so they can feel comfortable. Strength is saying, enough. Strength is walking away even if your heart begs you to stay. Strength is choosing yourself, not because you using Nartica, but because you stopped loving them, but because you finally started loving you. But that's the catch. You don't even know how. You've made everyone else the main character in your story. You're the extra in your own life. They tell you you're too emotional, too intense, too much. But really, you're just full. Full of everything they're too empty to understand. Full of feelings they can't handle, full of truths they don't want to face. You care because you see people. You feel everything deeply, sharply. And they use that, twist it, make you believe that feeling so much is wrong. That having a heart this open makes you weak. But what they don't know is that it takes guts to feel like you do. Real guts. You've been hurt 1,000 times and still care. That's power. But now it's time to redirect it. All that love you keep pouring into the wrong hands. It belongs to you. That energy spent fixing others. Use it to build yourself. All those tears you cried for people who wouldn't even blink if you disappeared. Let them water your own damn garden. Because caring too much, that's not the issue. The issue is you've been handing it out like candy at a circus, to clowns, to takers, to people who only love you when it's easy, when you're useful, when you stay quiet. So stop explaining your heart to people who treat it like a puzzle piece that doesn't fit. Stop giving parts of yourself to people who never learned how to hold fragile things without breaking them. You're not hard to love. You just keep offering your softness to people who don't know what to do with it. They call it too much because they're not enough. And you've been enough all along. Just not for them. And that's the part you've got to learn to live with without falling apart every time they walk away like you never mattered at all.